Yo, what's up, Spaceship Maniacs? New video, new model. A few weeks ago I asked in a poll to you guys which spaceship should I design. I gave a few options and the Starship Lunar lander came out way on top. So here it is. And it wouldn't be Spaceship Mania if it didn't have cool features such as a working elevator. This Starship Lunar Lander model kit consists out of 10 parts and you can download it on my Etsy store, including a build manual. Link in the description. Well, in this video I'm going to show you how to assemble it, and it's the first time I'm printing this model, so you'll see me stumble upon flaws in the design and make mistakes. The version you're going to download is the improved version of this one, so you won't have any trouble. Now don't forget to like, subscribe and leave a comment. Enjoy the show. So these are all parts printed. There are 10 in total, and these are the body parts, and then we got some details for the cargo bay. So these are the engines, and if you're familiar with my work, you might recognize it because it's exactly the same as the one for my Starship. Then we got the bottom part, middle parts, cargo part, and cargo part is the most special part of all, because in here there is a rail system with an elevator and of course a door with an axle and a very small part to fasten the axle. And then we got a top part with details for the solar cells. So 10 parts in total, and let's start by removing the brims and supports. Okay, so all the brim and the support are gone except for one part, which is the smallest part. I'm afraid I will lose it, so I'm not going to take it off until I'm going to use it. If I lose it, it will be printed in only a minute, but I don't want to. As you can see, I have pins and holes so I can fit everything together in the design. I've taken the tolerances into account, but my printer is not that accurate and it's very small. It's still hard to get it in. And probably because when you print something on the bottom, it will always flatten out at the bottom a little bit. So these holes are affected. But I got files, so I'm going to clean it up a little bit. I might change the design of the pins, maybe to something else. I don't know, it's hard because I have the rails over here. Just thinking out loud. Maybe I'll make them bigger so they're more robust and easier to print. I already cleaned up this one. So it works good, except I'm a little bit afraid it will break after a lot of use. So what I'm planning to do is glue everything together except for the top and the cargo bay. So I can still reach the cargo bay and, I don't know, put a Tesla Cybertruck in it or a moon rover. Okay, so this one works. So I'm going to clean the other ones. After that, what will I do next? Will I paint it or will I... Then we will glue it, everything together. And after that, I'm going to glue the rails, door and the elevator onto cargo bay. And after that we will paint details and then we'll be done. This is not a very difficult kit. The only thing that makes it difficult is that the elevator needs to work. And we need to clean it up a little bit more because it doesn't fit yet. It has a curvature just as a round body has. The elevator has it as well. And it's not clear enough because there's still a little bit of support. So I'm going to clean everything more, make sure that they fit together, and then we'll go to the next step. Alright, everything fits together. I'm definitely going to improve the pins because they're so weak that I almost broke one off. I'm definitely going to change that. So what's next? Making sure that the elevator works in the rails and everything connects. Trying to put it back, but I'm very afraid I'm going to break it definitely. So now I'll show you. This elevator has a little bit of a curvature and you need to make sure that it's clean and it will slide very smooth through the rails. This thing is so small, I just need smaller tools. I need surgical equipment. Trying to remove some of the leftover support. Does it work? Yes, very tight, but it works. But the end is not good, so somehow I need to clean it up. And then, after the horizontal, it needs to be able to go like this. And it probably will. When I cleaned up the rails from the cargo bay, still need a little bit more space. Alright, so the elevator, it fits in the rails, which is horizontal, the cargo bay rails, which is horizontal in the cargo bay, but it doesn't fit on the rails on the body. So what I'm going to do, also destroyed a little bit of the elevator. What I'm going to do, because I know where the problem is, these tolerances are okay and these aren't not. So I'm going to make the rails a little bit bigger so it fits easier into the rails of the body. So you won't have a problem. I do. I'm not going to change it anymore. I will just continue and put the elevator into the cargo bay, but I will make sure that the version you are going to download, it will be fine. That's one problem less for me, so I can continue. Moving on, we are going to glue everything together. Let's go. If you glue the body together, make sure that the rails is clear so you can move the elevator around. Because when you print it at the bottom, there might still be a little bit of brim, or you know, it's a little bit curved outwards, and that might block the rails. So make sure that's clean. Okay, so here you can see that the rails is not cleaned up. So make sure that this rails is like this. Okay, so I cleaned it up and now I can glue it onto the body. Okay, so I immediately glued the cargo rails in the cargo bay. So I will leave the top unglued so I can get it off, on and off, to, I don't know, place things in the cargo bay. So next thing up will be trying to get rid of the seams. So I needed to create a little bit more space at the door because it doesn't fit in. So that's what I'm going to do right now while the filler is drying. Alright, the door fits and the filler is dry. So we're going to sand it off. Alright, so the body is ready to be painted. These three parts are going to be white. I'm just going to use a white primer. That's enough for finish as well. I will probably do, I don't know, at least 2 layers. And the engines I will do a gray primer first, and after that I will paint it gunmetal with a pencil. Okay, so next thing is installing the door in the hanger, and for that we need to make sure that everything fits together. So that's what we're going to do right now. So this is one of the tiniest parts I've ever made. The axle of course will go into the shaft of the door, and for that we need to make sure that it fits, because it doesn't fit all the way. So, and after that it is in, then the top of the axle will go into small parts. And I'm not going to use glue because that will for sure screw up the door. So that's not what I'm going to do. I'll just leave it like that and it will stay in place. Alright, so I managed to get the axle into the door, and now we're going to see if it will fit. Still need to clear a little bit up, or else it will not fit. Alright, I'm definitely going to make some changes to this design because it's very tedious to work with. And that's something we don't want. Maybe I have to glue it, but I don't want to because I'm afraid. Let's experiment with a tiny amount of glue. Okay, so that might have worked. So what I did, I just poured 1 drop onto this piece of PLA. Then I dipped the axle into the drop, and then I put it into that very small part. But it still needs to turn. Again. Okay, now let's see if my hinge works. Yes, it does work. Okay, now that the hinge works, we can put it into the cargo bay. But I have to admit that I did not align the 2 pieces of the hinge very well, so it's a little bit off, and probably, most likely, we'll need to make some extra room into the body. That is what I'm going to do right now. Okay guys. This one should be at the bottom, and I turned them around so now it doesn't fit. Super dumb. And of course I broke it off, so I'm going to print it again. Okay, so a few minutes later and we got ourselves some new parts. Second attempt, let's try again. Alright, so I made it work again. And it's in, without glue. Okay, it fits. I'll just need to glue it in place and then we're done with the door. So I will only glue the top, or at least I will glue the top first. Let's wait a second for the door to be dried, for the glue to be dried. Okay, now I'm going to paint the solar cells, the windows and the engines. Okay, so last thing to do is gluing the engine onto the body and then we're finished. So I hope you enjoyed the video and that you got yourself a Starship Lunar lander right now. Now if you're still planning to print one, I got a tip for you. Bigger is always better, especially when you want the elevator to work. I printed it at 75% of the original scale and the elevator works for me. Unfortunately, the vertical elevator doesn't work for me, but that's because I still use the old flawed design. But your design, it should work. I'm recording this while I already started editing the video, but I felt obligated to show you guys that the vertical elevator, the vertical rails now works. I needed to show you guys that it works. It stays in position. I printed a small section of the body to save some time. Now, I got a tip. This will be at the bottom, and that will cause the bottom part to flatten out, and it will narrow the rails. So use whatever tools you have to make sure that it is clear of PLA and that the elevator can run through it. Add sections where you're going to glue it together, over here and over here. And I also need to mention that before it really fitted into the rails, I had to use the file to clean up the section of the elevator which will go into the rails. So of course, parts need attention. And you guys probably are smart enough to figure out how to solve it. If you're limited by size and you don't care about the elevator, you can print it as small as you want. That's no problem. So for those who haven't printed it yet, link in the description. You can find it on my Etsy store, including a build manual. And of course you watched every minute of this video, so nothing will go wrong. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment. Next video we're going to break the SpaceX trend. For the last 3 videos I did SpaceX vehicles. In the next video I'm going to do a vehicle from the United States Space Force. Stay tuned. This is SpaceshipMania signing out.